Hello, how are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you? Whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip? Let's find out what readers are saying about it.
Deanna, who has 95 likes, says, "One of my favorite childhood memories is of reading this book with my mother. I remember how much I giggled at some of the funny situations and cried especially when we read it. The first few times, sobbing into my pillow with my mom rubbing my back, I wondered why Charlotte had to die. My mom patiently explaining the gift Charlotte left for Wilbur. Even now I feel a bit of a lump in my throat. It was treasures like this that started my love of books and reading. I loved it so much I don't know how many times I read it over the years. Such a timeless classic that will continue to be enjoyed for generations to come. It was easy to understand and I loved the illustrations. The characters were so well developed and completely lovable. I wanted to move to a farm right away and have my very own baby pig. So many life lessons. It was all in there. The meaning of true friendship, love, life's adventures, miracles, death, trust, betrayal, sorrow, and the passing of time. Enjoyable to both children and adults. I hope everyone reads this book at least once in their lives. Truly a timeless classic." Ines, who has 56 likes, says, "May I say that this book is one of the most tender and cute my daughter and I ever read. Yes. She is 10 years old and we still love to read together just before bedtime. We really appreciated this precious friendship between Charlotte and Filbert the pig as the way they respect each other. And got joyful for the small little events and things they encountered during the days. Charlotte way of being a mom, friend and then a guide to Filbert was really lovely and emotional. The legacy Charlotte's will leave to her friend pig or new lives to protect at any cost in order to protect Charlotte's legacy and memory, too. We really loved the description of the farm's life and how all the other animals interact between each others." David Bernardi, who has 69 likes, says, "I grew up without reading this book. For some, that seems to be unimaginable. I can maybe understand why. My wife and I are reading it now. Or I should say, I am reading it aloud before bed. And it's really wonderful. I could totally see why it would be a kind of life-formative book. I was reading a passage last night and laughing at it. There is so much in here that is really funny. And it made me wonder about the level of the humor. That is, would the kid me have thought this was funny or is it my adult self? And I think probably the kid would have. This is all to say that reading it now, as an adult, it gives me an appreciation for kids' minds. And kids' books that take them seriously, even in their humor. I hope that all makes sense. I am a late comer to the Harry Potter books, too, but was really delighted by them in some of the same ways. But to get back to Charlotte's web, there's a section about the end of summer. A couple chapters away from their fair trip. White makes this lovely kind of song about the end of the season and the coming of fall and the kind of beauty and dread and tinged sadness of it all. My God, it was affecting. That's something that I probably would not have picked up on as a kid. But I think that has more to do with kid me than with most kids. I know my wife remembered that part distinctly. In fact, it is one of the reasons we went back to this book now. We have recently moved from Minnesota, our home for about 4 years. And fair time there just passed. We really experienced the sort of sad beauty of summer's end there. In our new place in Chapel Hill it hasn't happened quite yet. It is still hot and very dry from drought, so I don't know if there will be that kind of fading moment or not. We'll have to see. Anyhow, when a book for kids, whatever, for all of us, can make you laugh and cry and think about the beautiful sadness of death, then, damn. What can you do but ramble?" Reading Tamishly, who has 117 likes, says, "I feel like I did something right by picking up this book years after of having it in my to-be-read list. I picked it up at the right time. As on the 11th of April 2020. as I have picked up this book at least 4 times before during a span of 2 years. At first I thought it would be a really short children's fiction with lots of pictures of animals and the family of the little girl on the book cover, but I got genuinely surprised the way it weaved an unforgettable story of various animals with distinct personalities who live in a barn together sharing the ups and downs of life. I would say this book is pretty insightful in understanding kids from their perspective as well as some very useful information regarding the animals. Charlotte the Spider is one of the main characters, which is one of the best non-human fictional characters ever. Wilbur the pig, which was almost given up for being the weakest at birth. Templeton the rat, which is notorious for his catty remarks. The geese family, which speaks the truth and provided entertainment during the whole story. The way these characters were written, how bits of information about these animals were interwoven in the story isn't like a chore as it tends to happen in most of children's books. This book is entertaining. This book is fun to read. It is packed with emotions. It ended beautifully. You won't believe I cried towards the end of the book. The story seems so real. A good book is a good book, no matter for whom it's written for. I am so glad I read this book finally. The story highlights being empathetic towards animals of all kinds, friendship that is loyal and unforgettable. Here's something about Charlotte the Spider from Wilbur the pig. She was in a class by herself. It is not often that someone comes along who is a true friend and a good writer. Charlotte was both. You would be really lucky to have a friend like this who you would say this to, but even more lucky if you have someone who say this to you. Parents who are not overbearing. Parents who has the sense to listen to their kids. Parents who does not behave like know-it-alls and who have the sense to take help when needed. The gullible nature of us human adults. The author is really witty. Barbie, who has 173 likes, says, "My thoughts in a nutshell. Charlotte's Web is one of my favorite childhood books. I watched it so many times and never got bored with it. The story is about, skip over this point if you don't like the sneak peek. A little pig who wants to see the first show and who wants to live instead of becoming sausages. What impressed me the most, this little story has many important feelings and lesson. It teaches us to respect other living creatures and how to live side by side in peace. It told about humility and explained how important it is to have a great friendship. A friend who does anything to save her little buddy's life. A friend who once made a promise and now she will go through fire and water to keep her word. I've become such a sensitive little girl if the story is about an animal's death. I am feeling sorry about all of them. In my world, I think they have soul and they are sentient beings. This book is an amazing classic. And it made me emotional. Haha. Make a conclusion. I gave it 5 stars because it is perfect for me. It has a much valuable lesson and I really appreciate it. I recommend it to everyone who hasn't read it. Wait a second. Why don't you read it yet? Go to the library now. Or watch the movie. I recommend it too. Atmosphere collage, aka How did I imagine the book vibes?